Ding! A message alert sounded. Please go to the hospital to donate blood as soon as possible. When Nicole saw this message, she was stunned for a moment like she had sustained a huge blow to her chest. The sender's name was Hubby. Ding! Another message immediately followed. It was a notice from the bank that she had received a fund transfer of $500,000. Nicole scrolled up to look at her message history with her husband. Remember to go to the hospital. Fund transfer, $500,000. Remember to come to the hospital to donate blood. Fund transfer, $500,000. Please come to the hospital right away. Fund transfer, $500,000. In their 3 years of marriage, the time Nicole's husband, Eric Ferguson, initiated contact with her was to ask her to go to the hospital to donate blood. To be exact, to sell blood. Nicole's blood was sold to Wendy Quaid. Eric also treated Nicole as a stranger throughout their marriage. This month alone, Nicole had already given blood 3 times, which was more than her body could tolerate. Nicole sat on the sofa as her eyes unconsciously became moist and started to blur. Yesterday, while she was waiting for Eric to get off work, she stood in the rain for more than an hour, so she was feeling unwell and dizzy today and did not go into the office. Eric probably did not know that she had a fever either. She coughed and held her phone, hesitating whether to reply. Suddenly, an unfamiliar number sent her a message that crushed her last ounce of perseverance and self-respect. Even if you are Mrs. Ferguson, you're just a nominal wife and shamelessly occupy this position for 3 years. Has Eric ever looked at you once before? He slept over at my place last night. If I were you, I'd find a rope to hang myself. You're just an interfering homewrecker. A homewrecker? Nicole suddenly felt suffocated, depressed, and was shaken. Nicole was Eric Ferguson's legal wife. She gave up her family and friends to marry this man for 3 years, yet she was labeled a despicable homewrecker? Once again, her chest felt like it was crushed. All those accumulated feelings for Eric throughout her humble days as his wife suddenly shattered into pieces. Following that message, a photo was sent to her phone. It was Eric's calm, sleeping face. His handsome sculpted features were like an intricate art piece that made her so attracted to him, like a moth to a flame. This picture was an attestation to the message earlier. The woman nestled on Eric's shoulder was none other than Wendy Quaid. Although both of them have their eyes closed, the curled-up corners of Wendy's lips showed her wakefulness at that moment. They looked like a pair of intimate lovers. Her phone suddenly rang. It was a call from the Ferguson villa. When Nicole habitually picked it up, Eric's mother, Quinn, curtly ordered her around. Nicole, did you forget what day it is? The maids are off today, so hurry up and come over to cook for us. Nicole sneered and hung up the phone without saying anything. She had been walking on eggshells around Eric Ferguson, trying to maintain this fragile marriage. At the office, everyone underestimated her, but she still did her best to play the role of Eric's secretary. At home, Eric's mother and sister looked down on her because of her unknown origins. They were mean and picked on her every chance they could. They ordered her around, asking her to cook, do the laundry, and even clean the house. Nicole, who was supposed to be the young madame of the Ferguson family, was treated like a lowly servant. She stayed meek and obedient. She also never complained about any of this to Eric for fear of troubling him and putting him in a difficult position. She had endured so much that she was desensitized to it. Regardless of how much others despised her, Nicole was still willing to persist and endure all of it for the sake of Eric Ferguson. However, for the past 3 years, Eric never seemed to remember that she was his wife. The extent of their communication was when he gave her work to do at the office, urged her to donate blood, and transferred money to her. At this moment, Nicole felt exhausted. She could not hold on any longer. This was not the first time Wendy Quaid tried to provoke her. In the past, Nicole could always laugh off those harsh and mean words, but this photo completely trampled on her self-esteem. Humiliation, loneliness, and a harsh cold engulfed her. Was my 3 years of marriage a joke? At this moment, Nicole's face was extremely glum. She had finally made up her mind. Fine, it's time for this joke to be over. Nicole scrolled through her phone, and without hesitation, she sent Eric a message. Let's get a divorce. Although she was still feeling dizzy, she knew that this was the right decision. Eric called her immediately. Nicole had already expected his wrath at this moment. The man's voice was harsh and cold as he said, "Nicole, what are you making a fuss about? How much do you want? Just state a price." The doctor said that Wendy's in critical condition. Nicole forcefully suppressed the dizziness and interrupted his words. She smiled coldly and said in a hoarse voice, "Eric Ferguson, I'll see you at the city hall in an hour, or you can watch her die." She hung up after that sentence. Immediately after, she received another message. Fund transfer. $1 million. Ha 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 ha. Nicole laughed out loud as her tears gushed out uncontrollably. This is absurd. It's just too ridiculous. Nicole put away her phone. She suppressed the pain in her heart and the burning sensation in her body, then braced herself and took a taxi to the city hall. Time passed by the minute. Eric Ferguson called Nicole twice, but no one answered, so he refused to call again. Nicole sat on a bench looking very pale. An hour later, Eric walked over with a stern, expressionless face as he looked down at her with his cold gaze. What exactly are you dissatisfied with? I know that you've donated more blood this month, but I've already compensated you. Let's just get a divorce. Nicole lifted her head and met his cold gaze. Her voice was calm and composed, and she no longer wanted to speak to Eric anymore. What they said was never the same thing. Nicole looked at the prominent features of the man in front of her. He was handsome and tall, which made her fall head over heels for him, but he never once smiled at her. In the past, she used to be cautious not to irritate him, but now when she saw his stern face, she felt numb. Eric looked at Nicole with a grim face. He could tolerate all of her requests or demands, but he could not stand that she did not know her place. Does she genuinely think that she's the only one who can donate blood? Nicole, don't regret your decision. What I regret most is marrying you 3 years ago. Nicole smiled miserably. She finally thought it through, and her mind could not be any clearer at this moment. I've suffered enough in this marriage with Eric Ferguson. Enough is enough. It was near the end of the day, so there were only a few people in line, and they were the last couple. Their 3 years of marriage ended so hastily, in a matter of minutes. The moment Nicole held the divorce certificate, her heart trembled a little. Eric did not say anything about wanting her to stay and did not even cast her a glance. Let's go to the hospital. He still did not forget to use her one last time. Nicole lifted her head slightly and suddenly laughed. Eric Ferguson, even if she dies in front of me in the future, I won't waste another drop of blood on her. Eric's eyes suddenly turned gloomy. How could you curse Wendy like that when she's sick? Don't forget, the condition of our marriage back then is that you'll donate blood at any time she needs it. At that moment, Nicole just felt like her heart was stabbed. She was overwhelmed with pain. Right, I could only marry him because I have golden blood. I promised to donate my precious and rare RH0 blood to Wendy Quaid whenever she needed it. Nicole's gaze flickered as she looked at him. But the man's eyes only had his usual indifference. Her smile widened until she finally laughed with unbridled coldness. I should have understood long ago that to Eric Ferguson, I am just a lowly walking blood bank. Eric Ferguson, I don't give a damn about being your wife. Don't worry. I'll donate my blood to her one last time and settle our accounts. She smiled enigmatically, then glanced at Eric and turned to leave. Eric's eyebrows were slightly knitted. He felt inexplicably irritable. He felt that there was something not quite the same with Nicole today, but he could not describe the feeling. It was like she was out of his control. That I end their 3 years of marriage. He thought that he already knew her well. She was clingy and persistent before they got married, but she became a meek and obedient wife after. Recently, Wendy needed more blood transfusions. He felt guilty about it, but Nicole had never refused, so he felt more relieved and thought of compensating her in other aspects. Regardless of her initial intentions of marrying him, Nicole was a good wife. Nicole suddenly asking for a divorce annoyed him, but it did not matter. Eric's dark eyes deepened as he got rid of the irritation in his heart. Forget it, she'll naturally come back begging when she can't survive on her own. Before Eric could say anything, Nicole hailed a cab by the roadside and went to the hospital. She found Wendy Quaid's VIP ward and pushed the door open. A few doctors and nurses surrounded Wendy and asked attentively if the woman was feeling any discomfort. When Wendy saw Nicole, her eyes flickered and she immediately looked delighted. Nicole, you're finally here. You're not mad at me for always bothering you because of my poor health, are you? I was worried that your body couldn't take it. Nicole strode over to her with a cold and gloomy gaze. You sent that text, right? She went straight to the point. Before Wendy could answer her, Nicole slapped Wendy's face viciously. Ah! Wendy screamed and covered her cheek in shock. Eric's eyes sank, and his face was stormy as he yelled, Nicole, what are you doing? The man's voice was cold. He showed up fast enough. Was he so afraid that I'd hurt Wendy? Nicole thought. Wendy pouted and looked panicked. Her eyes suddenly brimmed with tears as she covered her cheek and looked behind Nicole. She argued in a loud voice, I didn't do anything, Nicole. You misunderstood me. Is Nicole crazy? How dare she hit me? In front of Eric. Nicole sneered. Stop your act. I know it's you. With a seeping cold gaze, Nicole walked to Wendy and took out the printed picture of Eric from her bag, then flung it in front of them. Eric looked at the photo and had a moment of shock and confusion. Wendy's face also instantly turned glum and pale. He had a long day yesterday, so when he visited Wendy at the hospital, he dozed off for a while. It was apparent that this photo was secretly taken at that time. The only other person in that room then was Wendy Quaid. Thus, Eric knew who had taken this photo. Wendy wanted to use this photo to make Nicole mad, but she did not expect to shoot herself in the foot. How could Wendy still maintain her image of a pitiful meek woman? In the past, Nicole would still care about Eric and put up with Wendy. But now, there was no need for that anymore. Nicole smiled indifferently, and her voice was surprisingly cold. I told you that I'm here to settle accounts. This is what you owe me. Wendy Quaid, you're the homewrecker in this situation. Are you satisfied now? I wish you all the best in replacing me as Mrs. Ferguson. Without much thought, Eric could guess how Nicole got this photo. He suddenly felt a little suffocated. His expression was cold and complex. Eric's face was still as cold as ever when he looked at Wendy's sickly pale face with a stern gaze. Wendy's heart trembled. She quickly defended herself. Eric, Nicole must have misunderstood something. I didn't do anything or take this picture. She probably found someone to take this so that she could frame me. Eric frowned for a moment as Wendy sobbed pitifully and tugged on his sleeve. She said cautiously, Eric, I can apologize to Nicole. If giving me blood affects your relationship, I won't ask Nicole for blood in the future. I swear by Hendrik's name that I don't know anything about the photo. Hearing the name Hendrik, Eric's eyes flickered as he thought of his best friend's dying wish. The gloom on Eric's face dissipated a little. Nicole was too agitated earlier and shouldn't have hit you. Do you need a doctor to check it out? Wendy was still covering her cheek that felt numb from Nicole's slap and shook her head. It's okay. Eric nodded and looked at Nicole, who was standing on the side. The corners of her lips curled up mockingly, and she had a cold and indifferent look on her face. Seeing her like this, Eric inexplicably felt a strange emotion in his heart. You wanted a divorce because of this? Never mind. Get your blood drawn first. Eric wanted to clear up the misunderstanding, but it was not an appropriate environment. An insignificant photo meant nothing compared to Wendy's health. Eric planned to explain the photo to Nicole afterward as there were still outsiders in the ward. Wendy felt relieved and knew that she got away with it. Eric still chose me. Nicole lost again. Nicole had long guessed this outcome. Wendy was good at acting and Nicole was not bothered to expose her. No longer wanted to be involved with them. Nicole looked at the doctor on the side and asked in a calm voice, Are you sure she needs a blood transfusion? The doctor froze for a moment. When he received Wendy's glare, he nodded in panic under Eric's watchful gaze. Yes, Ms. Quaid fell just now, which caused serious blood loss in her legs, so she needs a blood transfusion. Then what are you waiting for? Eric ordered in a cold voice. Yes, sir. The doctor quickly went to make preparations. Wendy gave Nicole a smug smile from an angle that no one else could see. Wait. Nicole did not leave with the doctor obediently. Instead, she went forward and lifted Wendy's quilt in a domineering and swift motion. Nicole did not care in the slightest whether Wendy was embarrassed or not. She looked at Wendy's bandaged left leg and ripped off the bandage despite Wendy's struggle. Suddenly, the surrounding atmosphere in the ward dropped to freezing point. Nicole looked at the graze on Wendy's leg and scoffed. Wow, it's so serious that there's not even a drop of blood flowing out. If I came a little later, I'm afraid your wound will heal completely. Nicole! You Eric? It's not like that, it's just that I'm feeling weak right now and will recover better with a blood transfusion. Wendy Quaid met the man's dark gaze. Her heart trembled as she explained in a panic. You get injured 4 to 5 times a month. I think you're just trying to drain my blood. Nicole's voice was cold as she continued. Too bad you won't have this opportunity again in the future. Get Eric to marry another fool to be your new mobile blood bank. After that, Nicole sneered and left the ward without looking back. The moment Nicole slammed the door to the ward shut, she slumped on a bench in the corridor. At that moment, she felt dejected, like she had been abandoned by the whole world. Nicole felt extremely aggrieved. Tears slid down the corners of her eyes as she took out her phone and mustered her strength to make a call. Her voice choked with fatigue. Big Brother, the other party, only heard her voice and sighed silently. His voice was indulgent. Where are you? I'll pick you up. A few minutes later, a noble and elegant man leading a group of mysterious men in black carried the unconscious woman out of the hospital and left quietly. Eric Ferguson dragged the attending doctor out of the ward with a gloomy face. His dark eyes were filled with anger. A serious leg injury? Is a blood transfusion even needed for grazed skin? Is this the standard of professionalism in your hospital? Eric exuded a terrifying chill. When he thought of Nicole's weak condition every time after she donated blood, the guilt in his heart deepened, and that strange feeling in his heart became more intense. The doctor shuddered and did not dare to hide the truth from him anymore. It was Ms. Quaid's order. It has nothing to do with our hospital. Ms. Quaid said you agreed to all of the blood transfusions. Every time Ms. Nicole donated blood, you were also there, so we thought that we're just following orders. Mr. Ferguson, we will never dare to do this again. Wendy Quaid, did I indulge her too much? Nicole insisted on divorce just because of that photo. Did she misunderstand my relationship with Wendy? In that case, Eric thought that he could just explain it to her. Although he did not have much affection for his wife, he had always been faithful to their marriage and was satisfied with their status quo. Thus, he did not mind living like this for the rest of their lives. At least, he had never thought about getting a divorce since they got married. If Nicole was just not satisfied with his relationship with Wendy, he could keep his distance from her. Eric thought that their marriage could be saved if they sorted out this tiny problem. He took out his phone to call Nicole, but her phone was turned off. Eric's eyebrows were tightly furrowed as he summoned the bodyguard that was at the entrance. A few minutes later, the bodyguard stood in front of him with trepidation. "Mr. Ferguson, we can't find the young madam anywhere. The hospital's surveillance footage was suddenly hacked 10 minutes ago. We can't find any clues to where the young madam went even if we searched the entire hospital." Eric frowned deeper and his thin lips were pressed into a taut line. When he thought back to the way Nicole did not hesitate to sign her name on the divorce agreement, he felt an indescribable emotion surging in his chest. His deep dark eyes seemed bottomless and inscrutable. Where can she go after the divorce? She doesn't have any money. The thought of her leaving so abruptly made that irritable feeling that constantly haunted him more intense. His heart just felt extremely uncomfortable. "Get someone to search for her and notify me immediately when you found her. How dare she turn off her phone like this? She's really out of line." "Yes, sir." Eric did not want to admit that he felt a twinge of panic because of this woman who was no longer his wife. The Italian limited edition luxury furniture in the lavishly decorated room was incredibly familiar to Nicole. As soon as she opened her eyes and saw the opulent room that she had not seen in a long time, her tears instantly streamed down her face. "This is my room? What are you crying for? It's just a divorce. Do you think the Stanton family can't support you?" A mature and tough voice rang in her ears. When Nicole looked over, her eyes felt sore and she cried even more. Floyd Stanton, the legendary chairman of Stanton Corporation who could influence the entire West City's business world, stood in Nicole's room looking imposing and majestic. "Dad," as soon as Floyd Stanton walked over, Nicole jumped into his arms and cried hysterically. Floyd sighed, heartbroken and angry at his daughter. She had never suffered the slightest bit since she was a child. Yet she acted so lowly in front of Eric Ferguson. To make things worse, Eric Ferguson never once appreciated his darling daughter. If not for their prior agreement, Floyd Stanton would have crushed the Fergusons and beat that bastard to death to avenge his daughter. "Nikki, remember our agreement? If that bastard doesn't fall in love with you within 3 years, you'll come back to succeed me in the company. Now, you have to abide by our agreement. Okay?" Floyd lovingly stroked his daughter's hair while she bawled. After a while, Nicole sobbed and spoke intermittently. "Don't worry, Dad, I won't be that stupid again to chase after her so-called true love." Nicole abandoned her family and friends despite their advice. She gave up her identity, elite status, and luxury lifestyle to fly into her own self-destruction, like a moth to a flame. Now, Nicole finally erased the man from her heart, bit by bit, despite enduring unforgettable pain because of that. "Good. Daddy will get your big brother to accompany you. Familiarize yourself with the company first. Then we'll choose a nice day to host a welcome banquet to announce your identity." Floyd was excited because his precious baby daughter was finally going to start a career. Although news of Nicole's return to the Stanton family had not been announced yet, Nicole's best friend, Yvette Quimby, could not wait to come to her house to meet her. As soon as Yvette saw Nicole, she gave Nicole a big bear hug and said, "Baby, I've missed you so much. Congrats on your divorce." When Nicole first told them that she would conceal her identity to get married, Yvette was the first to stand up against it, but Nicole still stubbornly married into the Ferguson family and gradually lost contact with Yvette. Now that she saw her best friend after all these years, Nicole's eyes brimmed with tears again. The two ladies chatted for a long time about everything under the sun. Finally, Yvette pestered Nicole wanting to see her divorce certificate, so Nicole had no other option but took it out and showed her. When Yvette saw it, she sighed with relief. Eric Ferguson, that stupid blind son of a B***TCH, he's gonna regret this. Nicole lowered her eyes. "Even if he does regret it, it doesn't have anything to do with me anymore. He's a stranger to me now. Well done, baby. You just need to wave your hand, and your admirers will be lining up from your doorstep to the outskirts of West City. That bastard can't even get in line." Yvette scoffed in disdain. Nicole suddenly remembered that she left some important documents at Eric's house, so she had to go back to take them. Yvette volunteered to go with her, which Nicole agreed to after some thought. What Nicole did not expect was to see Eric's mother, Quinn, as soon as she went back. Quinn always went to their house without notice and walked around like she was the master of the house. Quinn was very displeased when she saw Nicole return with a stranger. She held her head up high and looked at Nicole and her friend with scorn. "Nicole, didn't I tell you that we have a lot of confidential documents in the house? You can't just bring randos back here. Do you have a goldfish memory? Yvette was stunned and spoke up in dissatisfaction. Who are you calling a rando? Don't you think you're too old to be calling people names? She grew up with love and care from her parents, so how could she endure Quinn's ridicule like this? Now, Yvette could already tell what kind of life Nicole had while she lived here and felt infuriated. Quinn coldly snorted and gave Yvette a once-over. Don't think you can pretend to be elite just by wearing this fake outfit. I've seen a lot of low-class people like you who dream of marrying into a rich family. Yvette sneered in anger. Nicole's face sank as she said, "She's my friend. Please show some respect." Nicole had always been submissive in the Ferguson family and never talked back to Quinn. Now, she dares to reprimand me in front of outsiders? This lowly woman with an unknown background dares to speak to me like this. Quinn thought. She was furious and yelled, "Respect? Do people of your background even deserve respect? Nicole, you should count your blessings that our family accepts you to be our daughter-in-law. You've been living so well in our house for the past 3 years. Did you forget your lowly background? This girl you brought home is probably just like you. You both smell of poverty. So get the hell out of my house and don't stain my floors." Yvette tilted her head back and laughed from exasperation. She wanted to jump up and curse at Quinn. "Nicole, is this the result of you devoting yourself to loving these people and gratifying all their demands for 3 years? We smell of poverty. How did you put up with this for 3 years? Well, you can put up with it, but I can't." Yvette stepped forward and shoved Quinn, who stumbled backward and almost fell. "I'm telling you, if it wasn't for Nicole, I wouldn't have even heard of the Fergusons. You're just a nouveau riche with that measly money. Watch how I'll stain your floors with your blood. If you dare, come at me with your old wrinkly limbs." Quinn was trembling with anger as she pointed at Yvette and Nicole. She threatened them. You Nicole? I'll kick you out of the Ferguson family." Nicole did not apologize and make amends as she would have in the past. Instead, she just looked at Quinn with an expressionless face. "There's no need for you to kick me out. I'll take my own things and leave." After that, Nicole ignored Quinn's shocked gaze and went straight to her bedroom upstairs. Her old self was really stupid to give up her dignity for a man. Nicole was trampled on time and time again by Quinn, who only wanted a daughter-in-law from a prestigious family. Yet she did not utter a word of complaint going forward. She did not have to put up with all this anymore. She took nothing but her documents, then went straight downstairs. Yvette and Quinn, who were downstairs, were still shooting daggers at each other. When Yvette saw Nicole coming down, she raised her eyebrows proudly. "You ready?" Nicole nodded. "Let's go." "Nicole, I'll tell Eric what happened today. Don't think that you can just leave and come back as you please. Even if you come crying and begging on your knees, I'll still kick you out." Quinn thought that Nicole would be afraid of such a threat as a result. Nicole stopped in her tracks and smirked, then looked back at Quinn with disdain. "I forgot to tell you, I've already divorced Eric Ferguson. Even if you come crying and begging on your knees, I will never step into this house again." Nicole finished her sentence and left without hesitation. Quinn was stunned in place. Divorce? Nicole's willing to get a divorce. She immediately called her son. "Eric, did you and Nicole get a divorce?" Eric furrowed his brows. "How do you know? You saw her. You're really divorced. That's great. This kind of woman is not worthy of being a part of our family. That's all just her wishful thinking. I can't stand her from the beginning. There are so many high-born ladies waiting to marry you, so it's best if she leaves. Good riddance." Eric's dark eyes sank. His voice inexplicably became urgent. "Where is she?" He impatiently interrupted his mother's ramblings. Nicole had mysteriously disappeared from the hospital and he could not find any trace of her. But she finally appeared on her own. There was only one thought in his mind at this moment. "I want to see her. At Imperial Gardens, of course, but she left. This reminds me, I have to check if she stole anything. You didn't give her too much money for the divorce, right? She didn't ask for a penny." Eric was a little surprised at his mother's malice towards Nicole. He had always thought that Nicole and his family got along well and did not expect his mother to be so outrightly discontented with Nicole. "At least she's self-aware." Quinn coldly snorted. The man's cold eyes darkened as he hung up the phone in annoyance. He felt even more unsettled. "Did Nicole ask for a divorce because of my mother?" Eric went back without a thought. He barely came back to their house. When he went upstairs, he saw that everything was still there. Even the card that he gave her for her monthly expenses was untouched, but her documents in the drawer were all gone. Eric suddenly felt a tightness in his chest, and the irritable feeling became more intense. After all, he could not remain indifferent to her after 3 years of marriage. Quinn came into the room angrily. "The daydream necklace in the safe is missing. It's worth $10 million. Nicole must have stolen it. I'll call the police." Eric frowned. "Don't call the police. It's not her. Maybe you left it somewhere. Nicole had never asked for the password to the safe, so how could she steal the necklace? Also, it's merely $10 million. It's not worth much. So what's the point of stealing it? When Eric thought of this, he could not even recall if he ever gave his wife any jewelry in their 3 years of marriage. Eric took his car keys and left. He sat in the car and smoked a cigarette, but the uneasiness in his heart did not dissipate. Quinn was not willing to let this lowly woman get away that easily. She did not have to call the police because she had plenty of other means. After Nicole and Yvette left Imperial Gardens, Yvette had been cursing the Fergusons until they got home. That old hag is a weirdo. If it wasn't for her age, I would have taught her a lesson. Nicole was used to it and smiled. Forget it. Don't stoop to her level. Anyway, we won't be seeing them anymore. The two ladies were talking and laughing. When they finally returned to the Stanton mansion, they saw Grant Stanton, who rarely appeared because he was always busy with work, sitting on the sofa and reading the newspaper. He looked so serious, noble, and indifferent. Nicole happily ran over and hugged him from behind as she acted like a spoiled child. After 3 years without seeing him, he still felt as familiar as ever. Big brother, you're finally back. Why did you disappear after sending me home? Grant helplessly and dotingly allowed her to hug him and rock him back and forth. In the cozy atmosphere, his cold aura was totally gone. There was an important meeting I had to attend. I rushed back as soon as it was over. Here, your gift. This was Grant's habit. No matter how far away he went on a business trip, he would always bring her souvenirs. This was a limited edition custom-made handbag that was not yet available in the country. It had an 8-digit price tag and was invaluable in the market. Most importantly, it was unique to Nicole. Grant found out in advance that Yvette was also here, so he bought her a custom Chanel perfume that women liked. Yvette took it over with a blush on her face and said softly, "Thank you." However, Grant did not notice Yvette's expression because his eyes were fixated on his sister. He knew that she had a rough time, so he felt heartbroken and only wanted to give her the best. On the other hand, Nicole keenly observed Yvette's reaction. Her smile widened and she had already fantasized about their future. Your second brother is in a laboratory abroad participating in a confidential scientific research project, so he can't come back at the moment. Your third brother's at a film festival and will be back in a few days. For the next couple of days, you can shadow me at the office. Nicole made a bitter face, but she knew that there was no escape, so she could only nod and agree late at night. Holy sh*T. Yvette was hyperventilating as she called Nicole, who picked up the phone in the middle of the night with a sleepy voice. What's wrong? Go online right now. The Fergusons still didn't forget to sling mud at you after the divorce. They said that you stole something from them and that they won't involve the police if you return it by tomorrow. Otherwise, they'll screw you over. It's gone viral. Nicole's heart sank and she immediately went online. Sure enough, the hashtag Ferguson's ex-wife was trending on the internet. It was an official statement from the Ferguson Corporation accusing Nicole of having no character and stealing valuable jewelry after the divorce. Valuable? They even dare to show off a mere $10 million jewelry? Do they think that you've never seen money before? Yvette cursed indignantly. The comments on the internet were speculating that Nicole was kicked out of the wealthy Ferguson family because of her bad character. Those netizens spittled so much hate and even dug out Nicole's social media account. Her only happy memories during the past 3 years that she posted on her social media were all spun into twisted stories by those spiteful netizens. Peaceful times? I think she's just pretending. She deserves to get kicked out of the family. They should just call the police. She's not only a clown but also a thief. There were many other hateful comments about Nicole. Nicole had seen that set of jewelry once. Eric kept it locked in the safe and she did not know the password. Nor did she ever ask for it. Haha, Eric Ferguson doesn't even have the basic decency after our divorce and wants to hurl mud at me? Does he think that I'll put up with this crap? Nicole immediately dialed Grant's number. Gee, I remember that Kay's entertainment company is under my name. Who is managing it now? Grant paused for a moment and rubbed his temples. He had also just learned about this news. Dominic Young. I'll get him to handle that viral. Hashtag right away. No need. I'll handle this myself. Nicole's tone was indifferent. Don't they want a confrontation? Do they think that I'm scared? This viral topic spread like wildfire after one night. Nicole became a rat that everyone mocked. 8 a.m. Nicole logged on to her social media account and posted a photo with a statement. After that, she looked at the nice weather outside and smiled bitterly in self-derision. I was really so blind to marry Eric Ferguson. The photo Nicole posted was the one of Wendy Quaid and Eric Ferguson sleeping together. Their intimacy was self-evident. What was originally a sharp weapon used to hurt Nicole became a shield for her to protect herself. Nicole's statement was as follows: frowny face, dear Mr. Ferguson. I was deeply sorry to hear that Daydream was stolen, so I hired a private detective to track it down overnight. The detective found the jewelry across the Atlantic Ocean in Germany, at the hands of Ms. Ingrid Ferguson. It seems that Ms. Ferguson is quite a world-class gambler, and I hope that you will investigate this thoroughly before jumping to conclusions. Regards, Nicole. Nicole also attached the well-known private detective's investigation report as well as another photo of Daydream that was on a gambling table with Ingrid Ferguson. In an instant, the already viral gossip became even more turbulent. Eric Ferguson's divorced ex-wife, Nicole, was put in such a vulnerable position, yet she hired a reputable private detective agency and even cleared her name during the day without disturbing anyone's rest. Her statement was also justified and concise. Moreover, that photo of Eric Ferguson and Wendy Quaid together implied the reason for their divorce: adultery. Who was the unprincipled one in this relationship? The overall attitude of netizens instantly changed. Needless to say, Nicole's innocence was proven. She was blatantly accused without reason. Her post was forwarded by everyone. All of a sudden, the Fergusons became the subject of this scandal. Eric Ferguson had a few drinks with some friends that night and did not expect that so much had happened overnight. Even Ferguson Corporation stocks began to plummet by the morning. Early in the morning, Eric's face was extremely glum as he sat in his office. He exuded a chilly air that his assistant, Mitchell, only stood there with trepidation and dared not breathe too loudly. Who authorized the use of our company's main account to post such a statement? Eric gritted his teeth. His eyes were cold and stern. Madam Quinn ordered this last night, saying that she has already informed you. Eric swept everything off his desk, which clattered all over the floor. The man's gaze was harsh and piercing. When has this company ever listened to the madam's orders? Fire everyone in the PR department. Mitchell's heart trembled. Why, yes, sir. Get rid of that news on the internet immediately. An abysmal storm was brewing in the man's dark eyes. Mitchell bowed his head and spoke. Hesitantly, President Dominic of Falcon Entertainment has already given word to lock this news for 24 hours. No one can remove it. Falcon Entertainment was the top player in the entertainment industry, so no one dared to go against them. Eric's face was stormy. Ha! I didn't know that Nicole is so capable. Dear Mr. Ferguson, does she think that this was my idea and at my behest? The man's face was tense. His eyes were cold and stern. Suddenly, his phone rang. When he saw that it was from his mother, he hung up the call without thinking. I didn't allow her to call the police, so she made such a big scandal. If Nicole didn't find the whereabouts of Daydream, would Nicole have taken the blame for this? The thought of this made Eric even more enraged. His phone rang incessantly. Eric looked at the caller ID again and frowned. Father. Get Nicole to delete that post immediately. Is this not embarrassing enough? Do it now. Charles Ferguson's voice was deep as he suppressed a huge wave of anger. Eric, bring that B*TCH back. How dare she do this? She must be taught a lesson. Quinn grabbed the phone and roared. Eric closed his eyes and said in a deep and cold voice, Did she do anything wrong? It's obvious that Ingrid took away Daydream. So why frame Nicole? He was mad at Nicole's emotionless statement as if there was no way that they could reconcile. Even if Nicole did not respond, would I just stand by and watch her get wrongly accused? Did she have no trust in me at all? However, he was more angered by the fact that his mother righteously accused Nicole without remorse. It seemed like a common occurrence. Quinn was told off by her son, so she begrudgingly defended herself. How would I know that Ingrid took it? Hasn't it always been in your safe? Who else would have taken the necklace but Nicole? It's not too late to apologize to Nicole now. The man's gaze was dark. This was a PR crisis, and they needed to solve it within the golden hour. What? Apologize? That B*TCH is the one who should apologize. She's just an ungrateful gold digger with unknown origins, and even dared to put our family in a crisis. Bring her back and watch how I'll teach this B*TCH a lesson. We're already divorced. Eric Ferguson hung up the phone and rubbed his temples. His face was glum and he felt extremely irritable. He dialed Nicole's number, but as expected, she did not answer and even blocked him. Eric slammed his phone so hard on the desk that it made a loud clang. He looked at Mitchell coldly. Go find out where Nicole is. I want an answer in 15 minutes. Mitchell felt like he would lose his job and hung his head even lower. Mr. Ferguson, I had someone check Ms. Nicole's whereabouts. She doesn't seem to be in Atlanta. There's no trace of her anywhere. Eric's thin lips were pursed, and his face grew darker. Half an hour later, the Ferguson Corporation deleted the statement involving Nicole and issued an apology, stating that it was a misunderstanding. However, they did not clarify a word about the marriage between Eric and Nicole. Even so, the effect of this move was still very minute. Eric browsed through Nicole's social media page and found her posts about their life together. It was so close to him, yet so foreign. Hubby came back early today. Smiley face? It's raining. I wonder if hubby has an umbrella with him. Hubby picked me up from work. Breakfast especially prepared for my hubby. Eric unconsciously scrolled to the bottom and suddenly felt that their 3 years of marriage were not completely empty. This woman's presence was everywhere that he noticed that he had never understood her and had never participated in her happiness. Every one of her posts was about him, and the latest statement she released at 8 a.m. today was emotionless. Unlike her previous posts at IT, was as if this was the end of their marriage. He suddenly felt as if a piece of his heart was missing. His chest felt empty. Eric wanted to continue scrolling, but the page suddenly stopped moving. When he refreshed it, all those posts he had just read suddenly disappeared. They were all deleted, leaving only the cold statement from this morning. The number of likes, comments, and retweets kept increasing. This was her stance. She just deleted everything like that? She wants to pretend that these 3 years never happened. Eric's heart sank and his gaze was gloomy. His heart felt like it was being squashed. I will find her even if I turn the whole country upside down. Month later. Those who attended Atlanta's business banquet were dignitaries and the elites of society. Almost all of the upper class were present. The banquet was not open to the public. Bodyguards were also stationed a few blocks away from the venue to stop paparazzi from secretly snapping pictures. A luxury Mercedes-Benz sports car slowly stopped at the entrance of the Waldorf. Eric Ferguson looked incomparably noble and was undoubtedly the focal point as he made his grand entrance with his female companion, Wendy Quaid. When Wendy learned of Eric's divorce, she was excited and knew that her opportunity had come. However, after all this time, Eric did not visit her once, even when she was really sick. Wendy was only able to attend this banquet as Eric's female companion because her uncle had sent her an invitation. Her effeminate-looking face and expensive custom-made dress would move any man. Welcome, Mr. Ferguson. The organizer went over to shake hands with Eric, but suddenly heard a commotion at the door. Someone said, Grant Stanton from West City is here. A luxury custom Rolls-Royce came up to the entrance. Grant Stanton was truly worthy of being a legendary big name on Wall Street. His aura was extraordinary and he had a natural highborn bearing. Grant Stanton and Eric Ferguson were both legends that were comparable in strength. As soon as Grant appeared, people around him were already waiting to shake his hands and exchange pleasantries with him. However, Grant did not leave immediately after getting out of the car. Instead, he walked to the other side of the car, took over the position of the porter, and opened the car door. He then extended his hand modestly, which attracted the attention of the crowd. Who did Grant Stanton, who had never been close to women, bring with him tonight? Nicole! Someone shouted out her name. The woman was wearing a custom handmade gown from a European royal family. The dress was studded with diamonds and was sparkling with grandeur. It outlined her slender figure flawlessly. Her makeup was extremely meticulous and highlighted her features perfectly. It made her look even more beautiful. Eric narrowed his dark eyes as he watched the woman take Grant Stanton's arm and walked inside the hotel with a bright smile. Nicole was getting closer to him with each step she took. The glorious banquet hall was filled with important people. Every guest present was at the top of their field. Nicole was mentally prepared to see Eric Ferguson again. Her heart did not fluctuate when she saw him because she had already let him go. Although everyone knew that Eric Ferguson had an ex-wife, Eric had never brought her to any formal occasions. Even when the last statement went viral online, everyone had only heard of her name. When Nicole saw Wendy Quaid beside Eric, she laughed lightly and thought, "She took my place so soon?" Grant Stanton sensed her emotions and thoughtfully patted her arm. "Don't be afraid. I'm with you." Nicole's smile deepened. "I'm not the one who should be afraid. I don't have any worries anymore. What should I be afraid of? I'm invincible." Grant walked up to Eric. The two men were equal in popularity and were similar in all aspects. "Mr. Ferguson, I've heard a lot about you." "Mr. Stanton, so have I." The two men shook hands and parted immediately after. Eric's eyes were fixed on the woman next to Grant. Nicole stood beside Grant and smiled radiantly. Her eyes were glistening and clear, and her bespoke dress made her fair skin look flawless. She looked like a completely different person from before, and Eric could not take his eyes off of her. This radiant Nicole in front of him was unfamiliar and dangerous with a fatal attraction. Eric could only stare at her unmovingly while a complex emotion stirred in his heart. Did she go to Grant Stanton the day she vanished into thin air? What is her relationship with Grant Stanton? At that moment, the emotions surging in Eric's heart were so complicated that he did not even know how to describe them. Anger started to brew in his dark eyes. Wendy Quaid also noticed the flash of shock in Eric's eyes the moment he saw Nicole. She secretly gritted her teeth and said in a shrill voice, "Nicole, why are you here? Do you think this is a place you can come as you please?" She was reminding Nicole not to forget her lowly status. Eric's brow furrowed, but before he could stop her, he heard Grant's cold rhetorical question. "And which family are you from, miss?" His tone was aloof and interrogative. Wendy froze and forgot that she had a companion, so she hastily tried to remedy the situation. "Sir, You may not know this, but Nicole just divorced Eric. She thought that Nicole had found herself another sugar daddy and felt the need to expose Nicole's divorce status to him. Grant's indifferent attitude was oppressive. Is there a rule that divorced people can't attend? Isn't Mr. Ferguson also here? Wendy awkwardly tucked her hair behind her ear and looked at Eric to plead for help. However, Eric just stood there silently without the intention of relieving her from this awkward situation. Nicole lowered her head slightly and scoffed. Miss Quaid, do I need to report to you whoever I'm with? Don't you think that you're overstepping your bounds? Wendy was stirring up trouble, so there was no reason for Nicole to back down in this tit for tat. Although the scandal between Eric and Wendy had been suppressed, it had already spread like wildfire on the internet. No one believed that Eric and Nicole had an amicable divorce. There were so many people at the party, but Nicole did not even glance at Eric. Grant swept a cold glance at Wendy and said unceremoniously, "It seems that the quality of this banquet has dropped because of Miss Quaid's attendance. Mr. Ferguson, you need to improve your standards in selecting female companions." After he said that, Grant did not intend to continue wasting time with insignificant people and led Nicole to the other side of the. Wendy was ridiculed by such a dignified person and felt humiliated. She pouted her lips pitifully. Eric, her voice was forlorn and cautious. Eric looked at the two departing backs with a cold and dark expression. He was not in the mood to think about anything else at the moment. We haven't been divorced for long. Yet that woman was living in style and pretended not to see me? She even ran into the arms of another man. A few business partners came over to greet Eric. So Eric ditched Wendy and mingled around by himself. A large swimming pool was right outside the floor-to-ceiling window. This corner was secluded and unoccupied. Nicole held a glass of red wine and seemed to be admiring the moonlight that reflected in the water. Wendy thought, why should an abandoned wife that was kicked out of the Ferguson family be able to attend such an exclusive banquet? Wendy Quaid's face was gloomy as she walked over to Nicole step by step. Nicole stood there and already knew that someone was approaching her. She knew that besides Wendy, no one would come over to her. She casually glanced to the side and saw Wendy's soft and gentle face that looked so pitiable. Wendy walked up to Nicole with a cold smirk and had already removed her disguise. Did you come to the banquet on purpose? You wanted to get close to Eric, didn't you? You're already divorced, so why are you still clinging to him? If I were you, I'd hide far away. Don't come looking for trouble. Nicole looked at Wendy with a harsh and mocking gaze. Wendy Quaid, the whole world knows that you're the mistress in our relationship. Did you have a good time lately? Since the scandal went viral, netizens dug up information on Wendy Quaid, who was frequently seen around Eric Ferguson. Although Eric Ferguson had already taken down those posts, Wendy Quaid had been dubbed the homewrecker and was scorned by many, so much so that Wendy could not sleep well for some time. Nicole, a title isn't as important as our feelings for each other. Eric and I will be together one day, unlike you. Wendy coldly snorted out of jealousy and gave Nicole a once-over. Did you take the money from selling your blood to get this banquet invitation? How else could you come to such a place? The clothes and jewelry you're wearing are also rented, right? Wendy stepped forward. Her gaze flickered slightly as she walked next to the pool with a cold smirk. Nicole, you're just asking for it. As she said that, Wendy suddenly leaned backward and fell into the pool. The splash immediately attracted the attention of the crowd. The crowd exclaimed. Nicole looked at this scene with an indifferent and dark gaze. She suddenly thought about the banquet 3 years ago back when she had just gotten married to Eric. This exact situation happened as well. Nicole, I won't congratulate you on your marriage. After all, Eric isn't in love with you. If it weren't for the fact that you can donate blood to me at any time, Eric wouldn't have agreed to marry you. You will never be happy together. If you don't believe me, just watch. Wendy leaped into the pool back then, and Eric jumped in without a second thought. She had proved to Nicole that Eric cared about her. Back then, Nicole thought that her sincerity would one day move Eric, but she had failed miserably. Now, Wendy jumped into the pool yet again and struggled in the water. A man rushed by. Without having to look, Nicole knew that it must be Eric. He anxiously brought Wendy out of the pool. Eric, don't blame Nicole. I came to apologize, but she didn't forgive me. She must still hate me, but I'm sure she didn't mean to do this. Wendy looked so aggrieved as she shrank into the man's arms and suppressed her sobs. The onlookers pitted Wendy and looked at Nicole dubiously. Grant Stanton heard the commotion and frowned when he saw this scene. Nicole stopped him from interfering. Instead, she whispered a few words into his ear. After that, Grant left. Eric held the drenched Wendy and draped his jacket over her. His dark eyes glared at Nicole coldly. Nicole met his gaze without avoidance and the corners of her lips curled up mockingly. She used this trick a long time ago. Did you fall for it again? Nicole did not care if Eric believed what Wendy said. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear and smirked. It doesn't matter. Her acting skills are so subpar without any improvement after all these years. I'll turn a blind eye to your act. Why must I accept this? Why do I have to play along with her? It'll just lower my IQ. Nicole was just about to turn around and leave when Wendy suddenly got up from Eric's embrace and tugged on Nicole's arm. Wendy refused to let go of this wonderful opportunity to clear her name and cried, "Nicole, I know that you don't like me, but every time you donated blood, Eric paid you for it. What else are you dissatisfied with? Why are you still pestering Eric after the divorce and slander us? You did everything possible to come to this party because you refused to let go of him, right?" The guests looked at the trio strangely. Everyone knew about the Ferguson scandal, but the Fergusons were powerful, so no one dared to add fuel to the fire and only watched the drama unfold. Is Eric's ex-wife not as innocent as she seems? Eric Ferguson frowned slightly and thought that Wendy Quaid was being rude. He was just about to go over and pry Wendy away when he saw Nicole turn around with a cold face. While the crowd was still dumbfounded, Nicole grabbed Wendy's arm and marched towards the pool. Wendy was like a helpless puppy that was being dragged by Nicole and did not even have a chance to retaliate. Nicole held Wendy's chin, then gave her a crisp slap across the face, which made Wendy scream in pain. After that, Nicole released her grip. Wendy then fell into the pool with a big splash. Wendy's scream stopped abruptly as she struggled in the water, shocked and humiliated. Nicole withdrew her hand. Her gaze was cold and sharp, and her tone was indifferent as she said, "Since you accused me of doing something I haven't done, I ought to live up to it. You can stop the act. I admit to what I've done now." Wendy was thrown into the pool under everyone's watchful gaze. Her reaction was very different from the first time when she jumped in herself. Thus, everyone began to be skeptical. Eric Ferguson also questioned what he saw at that moment. The Nicole in front of him seemed like a completely different person. The water in the pool was not very deep. Wendy saw that no one was going to save her, so she was about to climb up herself when she suddenly felt a cold liquid raining down on her head. The scent of the 1982 Lafite wine was strong as it dripped down Wendy's hair. Wendy's dignity was completely crushed as she looked up in fear that Nicole's eyes were cold and sullen with unbridled contempt as she poured half a glass of wine over Wendy's head. She was instantly in a much better mood. "This is an extra gift for you, Miss Quaid. Don't be in such a hurry to leave just yet. I still have another surprise for you." When Nicole left the scene, everyone looked at Wendy with disdain. How can a bad person act so righteous? One of them was calm and collected, while the other one was panic acting. Everyone could see that Wendy started this pretentious act. "Eric," Wendy's voice trembled as she carefully looked at the man. Wendy hated Nicole so much because Nicole stole Eric's attention and all the limelight away from her the moment she appeared. If it was not for Nicole, Wendy would not be in such a mess and would not become a laughing stock. Wendy admitted that she panicked. All she wanted now was to hurry up and leave because she did not know what other tricks Nicole had up her sleeve. Eric withdrew his gaze and called a waiter to help Wendy, who was shivering after falling twice into the water. "You fell in by yourself just now, right?" Eric's dark eyes were cold and gloomy. Wendy looked flustered. "Of course not. Why would I frame Nicole? Can't you see that she's crazy and just wants to get back at us? Eric, do you not trust me? Do you not believe in Hendrik?" Eric's gaze was deep as he scrutinized Wendy. His intimidating gaze made her tremble. "I'll send you back first." Wendy looked relieved and was just about to nod when someone shouted, "Look upstairs!" Everyone's attention turned to the second floor, where Nicole was standing nonchalantly with a large crocodile leather suitcase in her hand. She was leaning against the railing with her arms bent and had a cigarette in hand. The wisps of smoke made her look so enchanting that the crowd could not move their eyes away. Wendy's heart shuddered, then watched as Nicole casually took out a stack of Benjamins from the bag next to her and threw it out insouciantly. Those crisp bills floated in the air and fell onto the ground and the water. Nicole continued throwing money by the handfuls. Many waiters and guests excitedly picked up the notes and everyone was shocked by this scene. After a while, Nicole felt that it was not satisfying enough, so she took the bag and inverted it over the railing. Just like that, $25 million in cash eloquently rained down on the people below, including Eric Ferguson and Wendy Quaid. "Eric Ferguson, this is what you've paid me throughout the 3 years for my blood. Now that I've paid you back, we don't owe each other anymore." Nicole's voice was cold and resolute. Eric's eyes were dark and deep, and his mood at this moment was extraordinarily complicated. The crowd was clear about the situation at this moment. Earlier, Wendy Quaid labeled Nicole as a gold digger who clung to Eric for his money. But in the blink of an eye, Nicole slapped her in the face by returning everything Eric had ever given her. Wendy's reputation had gone down the drain with this incident. Nicole walked away glamorously while Wendy was left with chattering teeth as she shivered in the cold. "This woman is my nemesis," Wendy thought. "Eric, Nicole must be mad at me again. Let's just go." Eric refused to let go of this opportunity to clear things up with Nicole and said to Wendy, "Wait for me at the entrance." After that, He went straight in and saw Nicole sitting on a deck chair while the renowned Grant Stanton knelt by her side and rubbed her ankles that were slightly chafed by her high heels. Grant's gaze was so tender that Eric found it jarring. The two of them looked up at the unexpected guest. Grant Stanton smiled and sat calmly next to Nicole as he put an arm around her in a protective stance. "Mr. Ferguson, shouldn't you be comforting your companion? You're still in the mood to settle scores right now." Eric frowned. His body was exuding an extreme coldness and his gaze was locked on Grant's hand that was wrapped around Nicole. His tone was frigid as he said, "Nicole, if I've done something to upset you, you can look for me to settle the score, but you should apologize for what you did to Wendy." Nicole hooked up her lips slightly and met his gaze. "What if I don't? Will you throw me into the water?" Eric was displeased by her blasé attitude. Seeing that she was so quick to be associated with other men, Eric also felt inexplicably vexed. "Since we used to be married, let me give you a word of advice. Be kind to others. Mr. Ferguson, I guess you don't know me very well. I was born evil." Eric choked. Nicole's stubbornness was especially infuriating to him, but since they were divorced, he was in no place to tell her what to do. His tone was cold as he spat out one word. "Fine." He then turned to leave. Eric was so exasperated that he forgot his purpose of coming to Nicole. He had wanted to explain to her about his relationship with Wendy, but there was no need for that anymore. Nicole's smile faded gradually. Grant patted her shoulder. "Lil N, do you still like him? How's that possible?" Nicole sneered. She would not make the same mistake twice in Eric Ferguson's car. Wendy Quaid was wrapped in his clothes. She was just about to explain what happened tonight to dispel Eric's doubts about her when the driver exclaimed in surprise, Isn't that Ms. Quaid?" The driver slowly stopped on the side of the road and pointed to the huge digital billboard behind the Hilton Hotel. That advertising space that cost tens of millions of dollars per minute was looping the footage of Wendy and Nicole at the poolside earlier. Their faces had been censored, but the celebrities and dignitaries who went to the banquet knew the identity of these two women. Eric's eyes were fixated on the screen. It was a silent video, but it clearly showed that Nicole did not even touch Wendy. The latter just took a step back by herself, leaned back, and fell into the pool. In an instant, the air in the car became cold and stagnant. Eric's face was even colder. His eyes were stern and gloomy because just a few minutes ago, he had gone to Nicole and asked her to apologize to Wendy. This was Nicole's reply to his request. Ridiculous. Simply absurd. Wendy's face was pale and she was trembling with extreme fear. She never would have imagined that someone would play the surveillance footage from the banquet on a digital billboard that could be seen by the entire city. Bang! The car door was slammed shut. Eric Ferguson stood outside the car. His tone was cold and stern and his gaze was implacable. "I'll have someone send you to France first thing tomorrow morning," Wendy Quaid pleaded in the car, but Eric Ferguson just felt like he had nowhere to vent his wrath. If this was fake, was anything ever real in the past 3 years? As Eric stormed away in the cold wind, a flashy sports car slowly stopped by the roadside. The person inside waved to him. "Bro, get in." Keith Ludwig was also at the banquet earlier to network and witnessed the spectacle. Since Eric left in a huff, Keith got bored and followed suit. He did not expect to see Eric walking by himself at the roadside. Eric sat in the passenger seat and lit a cigarette. When he saw the smoke, he thought of Nicole's figure when she held a cigarette earlier and stiffened. "Bro, you saw Nicole, right? What's her relationship with West City's Grant Stanton?" Keith's question annoyed Eric even more. Eric did not want to answer these questions that he did not even know the answer to. Fortunately, there were no reporters at the event. Otherwise, it would cause another viral sensation in their circle. With the Ferguson status, no one dared to spread rumors of what happened privately. "We felt so sorry for you that Nicole married you back then with her sh*TTY background. She's so rude to Wendy too. Luckily you got a divorce, otherwise the Ferguson's reputation will go down the drain. I don't know how a woman like that can catch Grant Stanton's attention. They even look much closer than she was with you back then. I never expected her to be so capable in this arena." With Eric's status, he should only marry a daughter of an affluent family. Nicole was just a gold digger that married into the Ferguson family for money, so none of Eric's friends liked her. Hearing Keith's frivolous words, Eric felt a trace of discomfort in his heart. Eric's eyes were covered with a layer of frost and his eyes were deep and dark. "Enough. Stop talking." Keith pursed his lips. At least that woman knows better and got a divorce. She'd better stay away from Eric. Eric was silent. His face was glum as he stubbed out the cigarette and threw it out the window. "Want to go for a drink?" Keith proposed. Eric nodded. Sure. He desperately needed to get rid of the irritable feeling in his chest. After this little spectacle, Nicole became the star of the banquet. Grant Stanton also took the opportunity to formally introduce Nicole as the parachuted vice president in the company. For a while, there was more speculation about Nicole and Grant's relationship, but neither of them bothered to explain and only laughed it off. Nicole needed to get a strong foothold in the company before they announced her status as the company's successor. She must rely on her own ability first, so her network was most important. There was a lot of dissatisfaction within the company, but no one dared to object to Grant Stanton's decision. Grant even assigned his right-hand man, Logan, to be Nicole's secretary. Grant also set aside some time to give her extra lessons, so Nicole would stay in Grant's office for another 2 hours every day before they left work. Looking at Nicole, who was sitting leisurely in a rocking chair, Grant laughed and threatened her. "You're such a lazy bum. Why don't I get Dad to teach you personally next time?" Nicole immediately sat up. "Please don't. J&L's anniversary is in 2 days. They have a project to offer, so you can handle it." Nicole's eyes lit up. "Okay, I'll definitely get it in the bag." "It's not that simple. Everyone knows this is a big slice of the cake, so it's not that easy to land this. I'll probably be abroad for a meeting during that time, but Kay should be back by then." "Is he coming back?" "I'll pick him up." Nicole had not seen her third brother, Kai Stanton, in a long time. The last time she saw him was when she watched a TV show that he was starring in. Grant smiled helplessly and looked at the time. "Let's go. I'll take you to dinner." As soon as they entered the restaurant, Nicole's face sank. "What a small world to be able to meet my enemies here." Quinn and Ingrid Ferguson were there. "Where's the manager? Does this restaurant allow just any trash to waltz in?" Ingrid yelled. Ingrid Ferguson, who was gambling her money away in Germany on the other side of the Atlantic, was oblivious to the fact that news of her stealing her family's jewelry went viral back home. Her reputation was ruined. Once Ingrid returned to the States, the ladies in her elite circle looked at her with contempt. Moreover, the person who started all of this was Nicole, who they had kicked out of the Ferguson family. Now that Ingrid saw Nicole in this restaurant, she clenched her teeth in anger. In the past, Ingrid looked down on Nicole's unknown origins and walked all over her. When she saw Nicole again, she went to find the restaurant manager. The manager heard the commotion and rushed over. All guests who came to this restaurant had reservations and were all influential people that he could not afford to offend. "Miss Ferguson, I'm really sorry." Ingrid glared at Nicole and wanted to slap her a few times to relieve her anger. "She's affecting my mood for dinner. Get her out of here. We're your VIP customers." The manager turned around and was shocked to see Grant Stanton's handsome face turn glum. The lady beside Grant Stanton had a faint smile on her face. She looked so beautiful and regal with her long wavy hair draped at her back. She had glimmering eyes and stunning features and did not look the slightest bit affected by Ingrid Ferguson's outburst. The manager hurriedly went over and respectfully bowed to greet them. "Welcome, Mr. Stanton. Your table is ready. This way, please." Ingrid's face changed as she surveyed Grant Stanton. A trace of amazement flashed across her eyes, but when she saw that he was holding Nicole protectively, she frowned in dissatisfaction. "Hey, did you not hear me? Get them out of here." Quinn sized up Nicole with disdain and echoed on the side. "Yeah, she should take a look at herself in the mirror. How dare she come here? Nicole, do you think you can be arrogant with us after finding yourself a sugar daddy? A woman who's kicked out of the Ferguson family doesn't have the right to show up here." Grant sneered. His oppressive aura was overwhelming. "Kicked out of the Ferguson family? Your ability to twist a story is pretty impressive. When did the Fergusons become so shameless?" He was furious and wondered what kind of life Nicole had when she was staying with the Fergusons. Quinn froze. Her face turned red with anger as she looked at the manager and ordered, "What are you still doing standing here? I don't want to see them." The manager's face sank. He spoke decisively. "Mrs. Ferguson, Miss Ferguson, Mr. Stanton is a major shareholder of our restaurant, so if you don't want to see them, you may leave." Quinn and Ingrid were stupefied, and their expressions kept changing. Nicole chuckled. Her gaze was clear and indifferent. Nicole turned to Grant. "Ignore them. It's just a meal, so there's no need for this impasse. I have something to say to the two of them, so you can go in and wait for me." Grant looked indignant, but when he thought about the fact that Nicole was a changed woman, he felt reassured that she could deal with the situation. With a slight nod, Grant turned and walked in. He was astonishingly obedient. The remaining Quinn and Ingrid were not afraid of Nicole. Ingrid sat there and snorted coldly. "At least you're still self-aware. Our family won't care who's your new sugar daddy. My brother has never once fancied you, so I can make you vanish from Atlanta in a minute." Nicole looked down and smiled. Her eyes were indifferent. "Then what do you want? How about this, pour me a glass of wine and apologize? I'm sure you're used to serving others like this. Didn't you do this often when you were staying with us? I'll let you off the hook this once if you serve me well." Ingrid raised her eyebrows and snorted coldly as she waited for Nicole to bow to her and admit her mistake. Nicole laughed, went up to pick up the decanter, then skillfully poured out a glass of wine and handed it over. Ingrid hooked her lips in disdain. Before her hand could touch the wine glass, she felt a chill over her head. Every drop of wine in the glass that Nicole was holding spilled on Ingrid's head. Before Ingrid had time to scream or stand up, Nicole pressed her down on the shoulders. Nicole shoved Ingrid and said close to her ear, "Miss Ferguson, remember this. I was the one who brought up the divorce. I'm the one that doesn't want anything to do with your family. If you dare bend the truth, I'll show you which one of us will vanish from Atlanta." Nicole walked away in style. Ingrid's face was pale, and before she could react, Quinn cursed loudly on the side and told the waiter to clean up the mess. "Is this B***th Nicole crazy? How dare she do this to you?" Quinn spoke viciously. In the blink of an eye, Nicole had already been led by the manager to the VIP room on the other side of the restaurant. Ingrid's hair and clothes were soaked through with red wine. She looked wretched. When she returned to her senses, she was so infuriated that she wanted to go after Nicole to settle the score. But she was stopped by the waiter. "Miss, do you need a change of clothes?" The surrounding patrons stared at the miserable-looking Ingrid, who stomped her foot indignantly. "I won't let her get away with this." Grant Stanton was in a bad mood after that encounter. But Nicole was not affected in any way. She looked up at Grant and smiled. "Gee, I have a shopping date with Yvette later. Do you want to join us?" The man gave her a sidelong glance and his tone was cold. "How are you still in the mood for dinner and shopping? Look at the Ferguson's attitude towards you. They're so condescending." Nicole looked down and smiled helplessly. A hint of coldness flashed across her eyes. "It doesn't matter. You don't have to take it to heart. It's over anyway. They won't mess with me anymore. Even if they do, I'm certainly no longer the pushover that will let them do as they please." After dinner, they saw Eric Ferguson's car as soon as they came out of the restaurant. Ingrid, who was sitting in the car, quickly pulled Eric out the first moment she saw Nicole. She cried and complained. "Brother, she did this. I was so humiliated just now because of this B***th. Mom can attest to it." Nicole stood there with cold eyes and walked away holding Grant's hand, ignoring the Fergusons. Eric's face was gloomy. He did not believe that Nicole would become so mean. When he thought about Wendy's false accusation against her, he was afraid of causing another misunderstanding and waited for Nicole to come over to explain herself. But she did not even look at him and left. When they walked by Eric, he clasped Nicole's arm and looked at her with a frigid face. "Nicole, you should give us an explanation for what happened just now." Nicole faintly raised her eyes to look at him and snorted lightly. "I did it. What's there to explain?" She then lifted her leg to leave like she was not at all concerned by this matter. Nicole also did not care about Eric's attitude. Eric's grip tightened, which made Nicole feel uncomfortable. She turned to look at him with her beautiful eyes that permeated a chill. "Mr. Ferguson, are you trying to settle the score for her?" "Brother, don't let her go. This B***th dares to treat me like this, so you can't spare her so easily." Ingrid Ferguson, who had been pampered and coddled by her family since young, had never been insulted like this before, so naturally, she refused to give up. Eric's eyes darkened slightly and frowned at his sister. "What do you want then?" Ingrid hooked her lips and looked at Nicole smugly. "I'll let her go if she bows and apologizes to me." "You want me to apologize?" Nicole sneered and looked at Eric. I guess he has the same idea every time Ingrid or Quinn stirred up trouble in the past. Nicole would apologize for it and would sweep the matter under the rug. But this time, Nicole did not want to condone their transgressions. "Mr. Ferguson, do you also want me to apologize? It's best to check the surveillance footage at the restaurant to figure out the cause of the matter before jumping to conclusions. Miss Ferguson isn't some innocent victim, so why the self-pity?" Nicole's words were sarcastic. She shrugged Eric's hand off of her and took Grant's arm. Grant could not bear to see this and spoke up in an icy tone. "Hasn't anyone in the Ferguson family ever taught Miss Ferguson that it's natural for others to retaliate against bullying? Why didn't Miss Ferguson think to apologize to Nicole when she was being rude?" Ingrid's heart trembled when Grant glared at her. She felt guilty and flustered, so she hid behind Eric, looking pitiful. "Brother, I didn't." Grant and Nicole looked at Ingrid with cold eyes. Eric heard this and frowned slightly. "That's because she exposed me online for stealing Daydream, and my friends made fun of me for it. That's my family's jewelry, so how is it stealing? I only said a few words to her. But she even dared to do this to me." Ingrid sheepishly tried to defend herself. That incident made Ingrid lose her pride. Eric's face was gloomy and his gaze was inscrutable. He furrowed his brow and wanted to speak. However, Nicole laughed lightly and ignored Ingrid's rebuttal. Not retaliating when being accused was something the old Nicole would do. "Miss Ferguson, you should learn how to respect others. Otherwise, this will surely happen again." Grant added, "The restaurants. Surveillance footage will always be available. Mr. Ferguson, you can view it at your convenience. Goodbye. After that, Grant led Nicole to the car and thoughtfully opened the car door for her. Their car drove out of sight. Eric Ferguson watched as Grant Stanton's car gradually drove away with narrowed eyes and a sullen expression. The divorced Nicole was like a derailed train. He simply could not figure out which direction she was heading. In the past, Nicole would be very cautious around him. But now, she even dared to say those ungracious words fearlessly. Ingrid was reluctant to let Nicole get away so easily and wanted to stop their car. But Eric yanked her back. That's enough. Brother, how can you side with an outsider? Nicole bullying me is the same as disrespecting our family. That ungrateful *TCH forgot who fed, clothed, and accommodated her these past 3 years. She needs to be taught a lesson. Ingrid Ferguson, the jewelry in the safe at Imperial Gardens are all for Nicole. Why did you take them without permission? Eric reminded her. Although he had not taken the initiative to give it to Nicole, everything at the Imperial Gardens belonged to him and Nicole. Brother, I'm your sister. It's just a piece of jewelry, so why are you being so calculative? Besides, Nicole doesn't have any occasion that she could wear such expensive jewelry, so why can't I take it? Ingrid spoke with discontent and thought that Nicole was not worthy of the daydream necklace. Eric really wanted to teach his sister a lesson, but Ingrid began to cry aggrievedly, so he did not know what to say for a moment. I'll watch the surveillance footage first. This made Ingrid freeze in place. She stopped crying and gritted her teeth in indignation. Brother, do you not believe me? Nicole clearly framed me. We'll know once we see it. Eric cast a sidelong glance at his sister and walked into the restaurant. A trace of panic crossed Ingrid's face, but she bit the bullet and followed Eric. Brother, I told you that she's not a good woman. Look at the man next to her. He's so protective and fond of her. So maybe she's already cheated on you long ago and took your money to support that pretty boy. Ingrid slandered Nicole in hopes that Eric would help her deal with that woman. Who is she to walk all over me? Eric's eyes sank and his face turned extremely glum. Shut up. He walked away and completely ignored his sister. The restaurant manager had already received orders from Grant Stanton beforehand to prepare a copy of the surveillance footage. As soon as Eric arrived and explained his intentions, the restaurant manager took out the surveillance footage and handed it over. 1 minute, 2 minutes. Eric's face became more gloomy by the second while Ingrid stood anxiously on the side. In the video, Ingrid and Quinn were hurling insults and curses that were harsh to hear, but Nicole looked like she was accustomed to it. Is this customary? Is this not the first time this has happened? Was this how my family treated Nicole all this while during our marriage? Nicole's calmness and retaliation shocked the two of them. So is this the first time she ever fought back? Eric's heart surged with complicated emotions. Blood rushed to his head and his expression kept changing. Suddenly, he stopped the video and walked out with big strides. Brother, wait for me. Ingrid Ferguson, this is not the first time you attack her, right? Eric glared at his sister. Ingrid's face paled and looked horrendous as she quickly denied it. What? I was just angry that she found another man so soon after your divorce. Why would I berate her otherwise? Eric sneered. He no longer believed his arrogant and capricious little sister. Go and apologize to Nicole. I don't want to. I'd rather die than apologize to that *TCH. Ingrid shouted in aggravation. Nicole was the one who poured wine all over me, so why should I apologize to her? Ingrid tugged on Eric's arm. Brother, you have to help me. Didn't Nicole take your money to support her lover? She clearly has an affair with that man. Eric shrugged Ingrid off of his arm. His tone was sullen as he coldly spat out. That man is Grant Stanton from West City. He's someone you can't afford to mess with. He began to be doubtful. Was the divorce not just my problem? Perhaps the entire Ferguson family is the problem. Ingrid was stupefied. Although she had never met Grant Stanton, every woman in the elite circle knew that he was the most eligible bachelor in West City. He was so mysterious and noble. Countless women would bend over backward just to marry this man. But Nicole was with him? She was vexed. Since her brother did not back her up, she could only turn to others for help. Ingrid immediately made a phone call. Keith, Nicole bullied me. You have to help me. At Grant Stanton's office in the Stanton Tower, Nicole watched as Grant made her a cup of coffee with skill and grace. Just then, she received a call from Dominic Young, the president of Falcon Entertainment. Nicole, I got insider information that Miss Ferguson found someone to follow you discreetly. Do you need help to solve this? Nicole pursed her lips slightly and smiled. Her gaze was indifferent. Nah, let her be. I'll just go with the flow. It'll save me some publicity fees. After she hung up, Grant frowned slightly and paused for a moment. What is it? Miss Ferguson hired someone to follow me. Let her be. Grant did not take it to heart because these little tricks were within their control. He handed over an aromatic cup of coffee he just made for her. Careful, it's hot. Nicole smiled and took it, then closed her eyes to savor the smell. Your coffee is the best, much better than the world's top baristas. I think you'll definitely make it big if you open a cafe. Grant snorted and cast her a helpless glance. No one but you can afford to drink my coffee. Nicole tasted the coffee with great satisfaction and suddenly remembered something. Since I'm officially starting my job tomorrow, can I ask Yvette to be my right hand and help me for a few days? Grant nodded without much thought. Whatever. Just make your own arrangements. Thinking about the way Yvette looked at Grant, Nicole excitedly sent Yvette a message. Okay. You're officially starting work tomorrow. Yvette replied immediately. Yes, ma'am. Yvette was from the affluent Quimby family. When Yvette offered to help Nicole, she only planned to spend more time with Nicole and Grant. Nicole saw through her intentions but did not expose her because she also wanted her best friend and big brother to be together. Nicole was in a great mood and happily left for their date. The two ladies then went to a bar they frequented. Tattle Bar was lively with raucous music. The bass and the beats made them immerse themselves in the music. Yvette was delighted to be starting work at Stanton Corporation, so she let loose and partied to her heart's content. After some drinks, they went up to the dance floor. These two ladies were incredibly beautiful with outstanding temperaments, which immediately attracted a lot of attention. One was sexy and passionate, and the other was aloof and regal. Although Yvette was starting to slur her words, she still wanted to continue drinking. Nicole was a little helpless when she saw this. She took Yvette's hand and shouted over the music, I'm going to the bathroom. So wait for me here. Yvette just waved her hand in assurance. Few minutes. Her face instantly sank when she saw a tall, burly man standing next to Yvette. The man had long noticed the two ladies dancing by themselves. When he saw that Yvette was alone, he became horny and went up to pull Yvette into his arms. He did not expect Nicole to come back so quickly and looked askance at her. Since you're here, you don't have to leave just yet. Why don't you accompany me for a drink? The man's gaze was lecherous as he flashed a cunning smile. His tone was half threatening and half coaxing. Yvette was already tipsy. The man was holding her neck and looked like he could drag her away at any time. Nicole looked straight at the man and said calmly, Let her go. The man hooked his lips smugly and beckoned to her. Come here and drink this, then I'll let her go. Nicole knew without having to think that the drink must have been spiked. Even so, she did not hesitate and walked over, but an onlooker discouraged her. Miss, don't go over first. Call the police. This guy is a notorious gang leader. Even a gangster dares to bully me now? Nicole turned to look at the other guy and said, Thanks for your concern, but don't worry. She was fed up and laughed instead of getting angry. If I go over, you'll release her? Sure. Come over then. The man smiled lewdly and thought that he had these ladies in the bag. I'm getting lucky tonight. Nicole smirked and walked over to him confidently. When she was in front of the gangster, she raised her eyebrows. I'm here. Now, so let her go. This chick is more beautiful than this drunk one. The gangster was aroused and reached out wanting to caress Nicole's face, but before he could touch her, he watched as a beer bottle landed on his head. Ah! He squealed like a pig. In the next second, Nicole reached out and bent his wrist downward, which made him lose all ability to retaliate. While the man was squealing, she kicked him in the chest, and the punk fell heavily to the ground. He rolled around a few times and curled up in pain as his body trembled. The gangster did not even have the strength to stand up and fight back. The music in the bar stopped abruptly, so it was unusually silent for a moment. The crowd was shocked by this scene. Some people did not even catch it before it was over because it all happened in less than a minute. Those who intended to be heroes did not even get the opportunity to save the two beautiful women in distress. Such a burly man was crushed by this beauty in mere seconds. Having been out of practice for 3 years, Nicole was not at all rusty and still had the basic fighting skills. She took a step back and glanced at the punk on the ground with a cold gaze. She then calmly went over to pick up the glass of spiked wine that was on the bar counter and squatted next to him. You want to drink this yourself? Or should I help you with it? The corners of her lips curled up in contempt. She was unfazed by the dark red blood that oozed out from his head. Under the colorful lights of the bar, her smile looked more terrifying. The man wailed in pain as he twitched and shuddered in fear. He hurriedly begged for mercy. He never imagined that he would encounter such a difficult woman. However, Nicole did not care about his pleas. She reached out and yanked his hair aggressively, forcing him to tilt his head back. Her voice was still as calm as ever. I'll help you. After that, she poured the entire glass of wine into his mouth that not a single drop was left. Nicole dusted her hands and stood up as she dealt with this vile man calmly, without the slightest panic, fear, or even haughtiness. The crowd was in awe. Who they thought was the weakling turned out to be the champion. Nicole went back to carry Yvette and left the bar unperturbed. Let's go. That guy just ruined our night. When everyone came back to their senses, the woman had already disappeared through the door. The gangster was covering his wound in pain as he rolled around in discomfort. He looked so wretched, like a wriggling worm. A few paparazzi that were there watched the whole spectacle in excitement. One of them sneaked out to make a call. "Mr. Ludwig, we took a video of Nicole hitting someone at the bar. This content will surely go viral. If we post it online, her image will be ruined." Keith Ludwig was eating some fresh air-flown caviar at that moment. He smiled smugly. "Go ahead and post it then." B*TCH left the Ferguson family and dared to bully Ingrid and betray Eric. How detestable. It's time to teach her a lesson. Late at night, the paparazzi quietly posted the edited clip online and left out the background story. They simply posted Nicole's violent actions. At a glance, it looked like Nicole was bullying the man without reason. After a good night's sleep, Nicole did not forget that it was her first official day at work and woke up on time to pick out her outfit. Yvette drove over in her little convertible and pushed the door in furiously. "Nicole, all those people online are berating you again." Nicole paused slightly. "Berating me? Why?" Yvette showed Nicole the video that the paparazzi posted. It was only 10 seconds, but it clearly showed the stark contrast between Nicole's hostile look and the man's miserable appearance. The following comments were all about Nicole's screw-up. Eric Ferguson's ex-wife had a rendezvous at a bar late at night and even beat someone up. Some people also commented on how ruthless Nicole was. This incident pushed Nicole into the top trending topics on social media. Nicole was unconcerned and turned off the screen. "It doesn't matter. It won't affect your mood if you don't look at it. Now, go get ready for work." Yvette was vexed for Nicole. Although Yvette had too much to drink last night, she was still conscious at that time and knew that Nicole only fought the man to stand up for her. "No, I can't just let this be." "You don't need to. Care. I'll handle this. Let's go to work," Yvette said. Once they went out, Floyd Stanton's butler stood respectfully at the door. "Miss, the driver is waiting for you outside." Nicole frowned. It was too conspicuous to go to work being driven in a Rolls-Royce, so she immediately refused. "No thanks, I'll drive to work." The butler unhurriedly took out a set of car keys. "The chairman specially selected the latest models of Maserati and Porsche for you. They're placed in your garage. He has also ordered a few models of Lamborghini and Ferrari from Italy, which will take a few more days to arrive, so he asks that you temporarily make do with these." Yvette widened her eyes in awe and was left speechless. Wow, Uncle Floyd pampers Nicole so much that driving these cars worth millions of dollars is considered having to make do? The small convertible that Yvette drove was not even enough to buy the tires of any car parked in Nicole's garage. Nicole sighed helplessly. "I'm going to work as an ordinary person, so I can't be too flashy. I don't want these. I'll just go with Yvette." The butler hesitated for a while, then bowed slightly to Yvette. "That's very kind of you, Ms. Quimby." Yvette smiled. "Don't worry. I'll take good care of her. It's my honor to be a driver for our dearest Miss Nicole Stanton." The two ladies looked at each other and laughed. Nicole then pulled Yvette away and ran outside. "Mr. Anderson is just as naggy as Dad." Once they arrived at the office Grant Stanton held a meeting to formally introduce Nicole as a director of the company. This position, which had been vacant for a long time, was coveted by many, but it was now taken away by Nicole, who parachuted into this role. Before the meeting was adjourned, some people had already begun to dig up details about Nicole. Besides her identity of being Eric Ferguson's ex-wife, everything about her was a blank slate, even her family background. Samantha Lint, who assumed herself to be the best candidate for this position, was the first to speak up in disapproval. She had her eyes on this role for a long time, so why should it be taken by an incompetent person? "Ms. Nicole, what qualifications do you have to assume this role? Do you think you can handle this position after 3 years of being Eric Ferguson's wife?" "I don't agree with this decision, and I won't stay in this company if someone like Ms. Nicole is a director." Samantha immediately raised her objection at the meeting. Grant Stanton looked down at his watch. His voice was indifferent and unfeeling as he said, "Those who don't want to stay can hand in their resignation notice. I'll approve it."